My phone rang while I was on my way to pick up my daughter from school. The number was one I had deleted years ago, but the moment the digits lit up the screen, I knew exactly who was calling. Amelia, Clara, and I are getting married next month, Leo said, forgoing any real greeting. The date was decided rather quickly, and she needs a bridesmaid. You're an old acquaintance of hers, after all. I was hoping you could come back and help out. I gave a simple one-word reply, okay, and ended the call. From her booster seat in the back, Maya looked up at me, her eyes wide with curiosity. Mom, who was that? An old friend, I told her. He's getting married and invited us to come for the wedding. Really? She asked, her voice filled with excitement. I've never been to a wedding before. I had originally planned to sever all connections to Leo and everything associated with him, but in the end, I found I couldn't ignore him completely. He had financed my graduate studies abroad, and now that he was getting married, it felt right to at least attend out of a sense of obligation. Besides, Maya had never been to my home country. This seemed like a good opportunity for her to meet her relatives and see the place where I grew up. As soon as my plane landed, Leo sent a message saying he would come to the airport to pick me up. I told him not to bother. A part of me knew he wouldn't show up by himself, and I wasn't ready for Maya to see him yet. I had arranged for my sister to bring her on a later flight. Long time no see, Amelia. A voice called out my name. It was Clara. Come on, you should call me sister. Leo hadn't come alone, just as I suspected. Clara was with him, and so was her daughter. Mom, who is this? The little girl asked, looking at me. Clara seemed to hesitate, unsure of how to introduce me. She shot a confused glance toward Leo. He stepped forward and took the child's hand. Sophie, this is Daddy's sister. The girl looked puzzled. But that's not right. If she's Daddy's sister, she should be called aunt, not sister. Leo picked her up and gently tapped her on the nose. My girl is getting so clever. You're even smarter than your dad. Clara quickly looped her arm through Leo's and offered me a smile that was polite but visibly awkward. Amelia, thank you so much for coming. It really means a lot. I know it's just a small event and you had to travel all this way. We were initially planning to get married the year after next, but Leo couldn't wait. He said it was too far off and insisted on moving the date forward. Now everything feels so rushed, and a lot of things aren't prepared. I really need you to talk to him. He's just so impatient about everything. I had no desire to engage in small talk with her. I walked past her and looked directly at Leo. I've already called for a car. I'm leaving. Before Leo could respond, the little girl chimed in with a frown. Mom, this aunt is rude. I don't want her to be my aunt. Don't say that, Clara scolded, lightly tapping her daughter's hand. She then turned to me. Amelia, please don't take it personally. She's just a child. She doesn't mean any harm. But Sophie's eyes had already filled with tears. She struggled in Leo's arms and suddenly burst into loud wailing sobs. Clara quickly took her, trying to soothe her as she stepped away, which left just Leo and me standing there. Leo's expression darkened. Amelia, so many years have passed and you still refuse to face reality. This is an issue between adults. Why do you need to involve a child? Clara took time out of her wedding preparations just to come and pick you up. And this is how you treat her? He took a step closer. After this wedding, I hope you go back to your life. Let's not see each other again. He turned and walked away. I watched as their figures disappeared into the airport crowd, growing blurry in the distance. A soft, humorless laugh escaped my lips. My sister's flight with Maya was scheduled to arrive around the same time, so I decided to stay at the airport and wait. As I sat there, Leo's harsh words replayed in my mind. Before I realized it, tears were rolling down my cheeks. I wiped them away and made a silent promise to myself. After this wedding was over, I would never allow Leo to be a part of my life again. I never imagined that seeing him again after 6 years apart would still cause so much pain. When Maya saw me, she ran straight into my arms. Mom, were you crying? Did someone bully you? I gently patted her head. No, sweetheart, as long as I have you, no one can bully me. Later that night, long after Maya had fallen asleep, I found myself scrolling through Facebook. Leo had just posted a new set of photos. His daughter had won first place in a children's athletic competition. The caption read, "So proud of my girl." In the picture, Leo held the child with a look of immense pride, while Clara stood beside him, her arm wrapped around his. The three of them looked like a picture-perfect family, more real than the one we ever were. Back then, Clara had an unexpected pregnancy. The baby's father fled the country, refusing to take any responsibility. Clara didn't want her child to grow up without a father figure, so she turned to Leo. Just as I had feared, he stepped in without a moment's hesitation, staying by her side throughout the pregnancy and tending to her every need. I had begged him to come back to me, crying through countless nights, but he only grew colder. I can still remember the night he finally exploded in anger, smashing our glass coffee table before storming out of the apartment. "Amelia, be reasonable," he had yelled. "She's 9 months pregnant. This is when she needs support the most. If anything happens to her or the baby, won't you feel guilty?" "But it's not even my child," I had cried back. "Why should I care? If she had made better choices, she wouldn't be in this situation." "Enough," Leo had snapped. "If you need someone to blame, then blame me for not being there when she needed someone, for failing to protect her. Such..." Now, all these years later, it was clear that nothing had truly changed. I realized with a painful clarity that it was finally time to let go for good. I was so angry that I went directly to confront Clara. "Clara, this child is not Leo's. What right do you have to make him take responsibility for her?" I demanded. "Leo loves me. That love, even if it fades, still leaves traces behind. Isn't that simple truth clear to you?" But before I could say much more, Clara clutched her stomach, claimed she was feeling unwell, and asked a servant to help her to the hospital. Leo, of course, was alarmed and rushed to her side without a second thought. About a month before Clara's due date, Leo came to speak with me. "Amelia," he said, "Clara is going to give birth next month. I don't want her to be upset by anything that might involve you. You've always wanted to study abroad for graduate school, right? I've made all the arrangements for you. Everything is set. The flight leaves the day after tomorrow. A driver will take you straight to the university." If this had happened in the past, I never would have stepped aside for Clara, no matter the reason. But by then, I understood that a love that is forced can never be sweet. I didn't cry or argue. I simply said, "All right." Later, there was a rehearsal before the wedding. The Sterling family was wealthy and influential, so the wedding had to be flawless. Leo called and asked me to come over, saying he wanted to go over a few final details. When I walked in, Clara was fixing her makeup. "Amelia, you're here," she said, giving me a brief glance before looking toward the child in the corner, who was absorbed in a game on her phone. "Sophie, look who's here," she called out. The girl glanced up at me for a split second, her expression full of disdain, then immediately turned back to her game. Clara frowned. "Sophie, is that how your parents taught you to behave? When a guest arrives, you should greet them politely." There was still no response. Clara walked over and snatched the game console from her daughter's hands, clearly annoyed. Sophie finally shuffled over to me and, without even looking up, spat near my feet and muttered, "Hello, Auntie." Clara quickly came over, trying to smooth things over. "Sophie, what is the matter with you? This is Daddy's sister, not Mommy's. You should call her Aunt. If your father saw this, he would be furious. Apologize to your aunt right now." Sophie lifted her chin defiantly. "Daddy loves me. He would never scold me. I'm not apologizing. If you want, go ahead and bring Daddy here." Clara awkwardly patted the girl's shoulder, trying to calm her, but Sophie bolted toward the door. I instinctively reached out and grabbed her arm, but she wriggled free in an instant. Clara looked stunned, perhaps not expecting me to push back. Then she forced a smile. "Amelia, please don't be upset. Sophie was just playing around." "There is a difference between teasing and disrespect," I said flatly. "She spat on me. Is that how she plays with you too?" Seeing that I was taking this seriously, Clara sighed. "You can blame Leo. He spoils her too much and never lets me discipline her. That's why she behaves this way. Kids are difficult these days. You'll understand when you have your own." I gave a faint hum in response. If you can't manage your own child, maybe don't be so quick to blame the child. Just then, Maya ran in. "Mom," she called. My sister stepped in behind her. I have some urgent work at the company, she explained. I can't stay, so I brought Maya over to you. Clara's eyes widened in surprise. Is this your child? Before I could answer, Maya tugged at my arm. Mom, I need the bathroom. I ignored Clara and said, Excuse us, and took Maya with me. Perhaps because I had just returned and wasn't used to the local food, I was suddenly struck with a bout of diarrhea. I asked Maya to wait for me just outside the restroom. After a while, she started crying, probably because she had been waiting for too long. I rushed out of the stall only to hear Leo's voice. Little one, what's wrong? Mom is inside and hasn't come out for a long time, Maya said. She has a stomach ache. I think she's not feeling well. Leo looked concerned and was about to ask a waitress for help when I walked out. Maya immediately ran into my arms. Mom! Leo stood frozen. Let me introduce you, I said calmly. This is my daughter, Maya. His face went pale. Your biological daughter? I nodded. Leo's expression changed instantly. He shouted, Amelia, how dare you get married and have a child without telling me? I remained calm. Mr. Sterling, didn't you say I could do anything I wanted as long as I didn't interfere with you and Clara? Maya looked scared and shrank closer to me. Leo stared at her, something flickering in his eyes. He knelt down, his tone softening. Your name is Maya, right? Maya looked to me for permission. I gave her a small nod. She held up one hand. I am 5 years old. Leo's face darkened further. Maya, can you tell me who your father is? I picked Maya up, ready to leave. Leo grabbed my wrist, his voice rising again. Amelia, is this really necessary? I turned around to face him. What do you mean? He let go of my arm and sneered. Do you really think that having a child, just like Clara did, will make me jealous? That I'll change my mind and come back to you? That's just pathetic. I had no intention of arguing with him, but his words left me speechless. I gave a cold laugh. Leo, I suggest you stop living in your fantasy world. This child has nothing to do with you. And once this wedding is over, I will take Maya abroad and we will never return. Mr. Sterling, you can rest assured. Using a child to threaten the rightful position of a wife is something I will never do. I didn't look at Leo's expression, but I could guess it wasn't pleasant. A waiter passed by and told him that Clara was looking for him. He replied, his voice impatient. Got it. Letting her wait a little won't kill her. It was only after I walked away that Maya finally dared to speak. Mom, who was that uncle just now? I didn't know how to explain my relationship with Leo to her. The truth was, the Sterling family and my family, the Thorns, had been old friends. But after my father went bankrupt, he fled overseas. My mother, after entrusting me to Leo's mother for care, vanished without a trace. I had essentially grown up under Leo's protection. We were typical childhood sweethearts. After we both got into the same university, our feelings for each other deepened. He even gave up an opportunity to marry into a wealthy family just to be with me. His parents were always kind to me. They not only accepted our relationship, but even treated me as the future daughter-in-law of the Sterling family. Leo and I had always been close until Clara showed up. From that moment on, all the sweetness we had shared fell apart. Seeing me lost in thought, Maya tugged at my sleeve and asked, Mom, why aren't you saying anything? That uncle, is he your brother? I've never heard you say you have a brother. I smiled faintly and replied, He's not very close to me. You've never met him before, so Mom forgot to mention him. That's my fault. Then should I call him Uncle or Mom's brother? Maya asked, tilting her head. I looked at her face for a moment but didn't answer. There were still a few days left before the wedding, and at that time, the flu was spreading quickly. My sister was the first to get infected. Since Maya and I had spent a lot of time around her, we didn't escape it either. Maya started running a high fever again and again. Even with medication and injections, she wasn't getting any better. I had no choice but to take her to the hospital again. Unexpectedly, we ran into Leo there. He was with Clara and Sophie. Leo was holding a very weak-looking Sophie who seemed seriously ill, and Clara was the first to speak. Amelia, is your child all right? He's fine, thank you for asking, I replied calmly. This flu has been really troublesome, she continued. Sophie keeps coughing nonstop at home, but luckily Leo has been taking good care of her. A child catching a cold is no small matter. You have to be really careful. I couldn't help but cough softly a few times. My head was spinning, but I still pushed myself to bring Maya to the hospital, hoping she would recover faster. Leo unconsciously stepped forward, still holding Sophie, and asked, "Is Maya all right?" His action clearly displeased Clara, but she kept her tone light and joked, "We mothers are tough for our kids. No matter how hard it is, we bear it." "Leo, Sophie isn't wearing a mask," Clara added, her smile still polite but her words pointed. "The hospital is full of people. If she gets reinfected, it won't be good. Let's not delay Amelia any longer. She still needs to see the doctor. In the end, the child will be the one who suffers." I understood exactly what she meant, but for Maya's sake, I chose not to argue. Leo frowned slightly. I turned to leave, but then I heard him call out, "Amelia." When I looked back, I saw him placing Sophie in Clara's arms and walking toward me. "Mr. Sterling, is there something else?" I asked quietly. "You don't look well either. It's not easy taking care of a child on your own. If you need anything—" Before he could finish, I cut him off. "No need to be so polite, Mr. Sterling. If I need help, I'll ask a doctor or a nurse, but thank you for your kindness." Leo stood there for a moment, visibly conflicted. Then, still uneasy, he followed us. Just as he reached out to take Maya from my arms, Sophie began to cry again. Clara bent down and tried to soothe her. "Sophie, be good. Mommy knows you're not feeling well, but Daddy has to help another child for now. He'll be back soon, all right? Please don't cry." Leo looked at Maya again, hesitating. Then he turned to me. "You go ahead. I'll stay with Sophie." "I don't need your help," I said softly. Sophie's cries grew louder. "If you need anything, just call me. I'll come right away," Leo added. Then he hurried back and picked up Sophie. Clara took hold of his arm and quickly pulled him away. I stayed with Maya as she received her IV drip. She was more energetic than when we first arrived. As for me, my head throbbed so badly that I kept pressing my hand to my forehead. Maya pulled a warm water bottle from her bag and gently placed it on my head. "Mom, I know you don't feel well either. Once I finish my drip, we can get you checked too, all right?" I gave her a gentle smile and said, "Maya, you're such a good girl. You're growing up, and now you can take care of Mom." She glanced at a nearby family of 3, then turned to me and whispered, "Mom, it would be great if Dad were here. That way you wouldn't have to do everything alone." I pulled her into my arms and said softly, "Maya, be good. Mommy isn't tired." But somehow, in that moment, I blacked out. When I woke up, I saw Maya sitting beside me, holding my hand. I let out a long breath and quickly grasped her hand tighter. "Mommy, you're finally awake," she said, hugging me tightly. I patted her back gently, though my head was still pounding. Just as I was about to ask her what had happened, Leo walked in, carrying a pot of hot water. "Why are you here?" I asked, surprised. "You fainted," he said. "Maya couldn't wake you up. She went to find a doctor, but luckily I ran into her and came over right away." He poured a cup of warm water and handed it to me, then called for the nurse. Gently, he knelt down and placed his hands on Maya's small shoulders. "Maya, sweetheart, can you go outside and play with the nurse for a little while? Your uncle and I need to talk." Maya gave me a curious glance. I could tell from the way Leo looked at both of us the moment he stepped in that he had noticed something. That look in his eyes wasn't just suspicion. And knowing Leo, if he sensed something was off, he wouldn't stop until he got answers. I nodded gently and the nurse took Maya by the hand and led her out. Leo turned to me, his voice tense. "Amelia, why did you lie to me? Why did you hide everything?" I looked at him blankly, unsure how to respond. "I just looked at Maya's medical records," he said. "She's already 6. That means she was born before you went abroad." "Don't read too much into it," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "The hospital must have made a mistake. Maya is 5 years old." "Amelia," he said, his eyes reddening. "She is my daughter, isn't she?" "No," I said firmly. "She is not your child." His voice dropped, but the intensity remained. How long are you going to keep lying to me? Then tell me if she's not mine, who is her father? Where is he? You don't need to know that. He's abroad. We have a good relationship, and Maya is happy. You don't need to worry about her. How can you be so cold? Leo snapped. I just asked her, and she said she doesn't have a father, only a mother. Now tell me the truth. Is she really mine? She only meant her father isn't in the country, I said quietly. You misunderstood. He wanted to press further, but I knew by now that he already knew. He didn't need more proof. He just wanted me to admit it, because unless I said the words out loud, even if he was her father, he would have no claim. Dad? Leo and I turned at the same time. Standing in the doorway was Sophie, Clara's daughter. Leo didn't acknowledge her. His gaze immediately shifted to Clara, who was standing behind her. What are you doing here? He asked, clearly irritated. I asked the doctor where you were, Clara replied calmly. Sophie wasn't feeling well. She kept crying to see her dad. I had no choice. Sophie, let's go, Clara said softly. Daddy is busy right now. But Sophie pulled free from her hand and ran into Leo's arms. I don't want to go. I want Daddy to stay. Tell me a story, Daddy, please. Leo glanced at me, clearly torn. Sophie clung to his hand and burst into loud sobs. Daddy, do you not want me anymore? Please don't leave me. Sophie is scared. In the end, Leo picked her up and left with her. I slowly got out of bed and went looking for Maya. I asked her what Leo had said to her earlier, and her reply was nearly the same as what Leo had told me. We walked back to the ward together. Maya was quiet, not as lively as usual. She looked a little lost in thought. Maya, what's wrong? I asked gently. Mom, she said in a soft voice. Who exactly is that strange uncle? Why does he keep asking about Maya's dad? Maya doesn't have a dad, right? Didn't I tell you? I said with a faint smile. He's Mommy's brother. He hasn't seen me in a long time, so he's curious about how we're doing abroad. Maya gave a small nod, trying to understand. When will Uncle come back again? She asked, gazing up at me. My body froze. A strange feeling swept over me. Could it be that deep down, something inside Maya had already sensed the bond between them? Uncle is very busy with work, I said slowly. He can't come see Maya often. And soon, we'll be going home. He lives far away, so visiting won't be easy. Her smile faded, and her expression grew dim. I just saw Uncle holding a little girl's hand. Is that his daughter? I nodded, and suddenly my heart ached. This wasn't the first time Leo had chosen Clara's child over Maya. When I first found out I was pregnant, Leo had already been gone for over a month. He had stopped answering my calls. At first, I was torn, excited, but also uncertain. We had both always wanted children. There were so many times I had rested in his arms, imagining our baby. He had said he wanted a daughter. He had even picked a name, Sophia. He wanted her to grow up calm and sheltered from emotional pain. But I never expected him to give that name to Clara's child. Before going to the hospital, I had decided to tell him about the pregnancy in person, but he refused to meet me. I waited outside his company for hours. I told myself I wouldn't leave until I saw him. Then his assistant sent me a message. Clara was in his office. I was told not to cause trouble. If I upset her and something happened to the baby, he would never forgive me. That message shattered something inside me. My hands trembled so hard I couldn't hold the medical report. I wanted to go to the hospital, but I was so distraught I gave the driver the wrong address. He brought me back home. I collapsed on the cold floor and cried until I couldn't cry anymore. That night, I made a decision. I would leave. Soon after, Leo arranged for someone to send me abroad. He thought he was helping me, but all it did was confirm that I had to cut him out of my life completely. From that moment on, I vowed he would never know about Maya. Over the years, I saw him post photos of Clara's daughter again and again. I often wondered, did he ever think about the daughter he never got to watch grow up? Just a few days after I was discharged from the hospital, Leo sent me a message. Amelia, so much has happened. Why did you never tell me? I knew that with his resources and determination, It wouldn't have been hard for Leo to uncover the details of my life abroad over the past few years. He had asked to meet at a cafe we used to go to often. At this point, avoiding the issue was no longer an option. If I truly wanted to resolve everything, I had to face it directly. "You already know everything," I said quietly. Leo didn't answer. Instead, he slowly pushed a paternity test report across the table toward me. His hands were shaking slightly as he picked up his coffee. A few drops spilled, landing on the edge of the report. He looked at me cautiously. "Amelia," he said, his voice low, "how have you and Maya been these past few years?" "Mr. Sterling," I replied, keeping my tone calm. "Whether we have been well or not is a matter between my daughter and me. It has nothing to do with you." His expression shifted. "Amelia, you had Maya. Why didn't you tell me before you went abroad? Why? If you had known about Maya earlier." I gave him a faint, bitter smile. "Leo, you really do forget kindness too easily. Have you forgotten how you treated me back then? You forced me to leave again and again for Clara's sake." I paused, my voice growing colder. "Do you remember what you said? You told me that if my presence ever disturbed Clara's child, you would never forgive me, even if it cost you your life." I was just a woman with a child, powerless to fight back. I was scared. I was scared you would hurt us. I looked straight into his eyes now. The fear I once had was gone. Years have passed, and I am not that helpless girl anymore. I won't run again. Leo lowered his head, shame clouding his face. When he looked up, he couldn't meet my gaze. Instead, he beat his chest with his fists. "It was all my fault," he cried, his voice cracking. "I wronged you and Maya. I don't deserve to be called human." I picked up my coffee and took a small sip. Watching him punish himself did nothing for me. Even if he threw himself to the ground today, he wouldn't receive a single word of forgiveness from me. "Mr. Sterling," I said coldly, "if you invited me here just to put on a show, then we're wasting time. Maya is waiting for me at home." I reached for my bag and started to stand, but Leo grabbed both my hands tightly, his grip desperate. "Amelia, I know I was wrong. I was afraid Clara couldn't handle being left, that she might do something to herself. Sending you abroad, I only wanted you to reflect on your character. I always planned to bring you back once you finished your studies." He looked at me with pleading eyes. "Now that you're back, can you give me a chance? For Maya's sake, at least. I believe she wants her father by her side. I've been gone too long. Let me make it up to you both. Let me stay with you and care for you, please." I couldn't help but laugh, a bitter, exhausted laugh. "Mr. Sterling, please," I said. "Don't make me laugh again. What about Clara? Aren't you afraid she'll be hurt again? You're such a kind person. Why not go all the way and do another good deed?" I picked up my bag once more. "Maya and I are doing well. We're happy. So please show us some mercy and stop using us for your guilt." Yes, Maya wants a father. But what would she say if she knew the man who abandoned her did it for another child? Leo flinched. He understood exactly what I meant. He stood as if to stop me, but then froze, unable to take a single step. I walked out of the cafe. Through the glass, I saw him collapse into his chair. He grabbed at his hair wildly, then slammed his coffee cup onto the floor. It shattered loudly. A waiter rushed over to check on him. Leo flipped the table over in frustration, sending more cups crashing to the ground. As I stepped into the car, I could still hear his anguished cries echoing down the street. Not long after, Leo called off the wedding with Clara. The news exploded online, setting off a wave of public debate. By that time, I had already packed our bags. I was planning to take Maya abroad again, this time for good. My sister and brother-in-law had secured a new investment from foreign backers, and we were preparing to start a business together in a new country. No matter how powerful the Sterling family was, their reach would not extend that far. I had made up my mind to settle down overseas and give Maya a peaceful life, far from the tangled mess of love and resentment tied to her father. I never told Maya about my past with Leo. I wanted her to grow up in a sweet, gentle world where she would never have to carry the weight of my mistakes. What I didn't expect was Clara's reaction. She blamed me entirely for the canceled wedding, accusing me of plotting everything in secret and even threatening Leo by using the child. I had always known she wouldn't accept defeat so easily, not after losing something she had been about to claim. Then, I heard the most chilling news. Leo had announced publicly that Sophie was not a child of the Sterling family. That truth, combined with the wedding cancellation, drove Clara to the edge. I had expected her to lash out at me, but I never thought she would go as far as to have Maya kidnapped. That day, my sister had taken Maya to the amusement park. Halfway through their visit, she called me in a panic. "Maya is gone." I reported it to the police and rushed to the scene. In that moment, a message Clara had sent me days ago flashed through my mind. "Amelia, if you do not give Leo back to me, I will take him away." I opened the message again. There was no punctuation, no full stop. At the time, I thought she meant she wanted to win Leo back. I never imagined she meant something else entirely. Now I knew I had completely misunderstood her, and I had underestimated what she was truly capable of. I sent the message to the police, and they immediately began tracking Clara's whereabouts. But it was as if she and Sophie had vanished into thin air. Desperate, I thought Leo might be able to reach her, so I made the difficult decision to call him. Leo arrived quickly, assuring me that he had already sent people out to search. He told me not to worry and promised that he would bring Maya back safely. Just as he spoke, my phone buzzed again. It was a message from Clara. "Amelia, why did you return? Because of you. Sophie lost her father. You ruined everything for us. Now your daughter is with me. If you want her back, you'll have to exchange your life for hers." I immediately handed the phone to the police. Leo, trying to buy time, took me and his bodyguards to the location Clara had sent. When we arrived, I saw Clara standing there, her hair a mess. The moment her eyes landed on me, she let out a piercing scream. When she saw Leo beside me, her face twisted with emotion. Then, without warning, she began to laugh uncontrollably. The sound was shrill and wild. It was clear her mind was not stable. "Husband, hurry!" she shouted, waving at Leo. "I brought our daughter back for you. Let's get rid of that woman and live happily together, the four of us." Leo stepped forward slowly, stopping me with one hand. "Clara," he said gently, "you still care about me, don't you? Let me take Maya first. I'll make sure she doesn't get taken away again." Clara hesitated for a moment. It seemed like Leo's words had reached her, but then her eyes darkened, and she grabbed Maya, backing toward the cliff behind her. "You lied to me!" she screamed. "You and that woman tricked me. If I can't have peace, then neither can you." My heart felt like it dropped off the edge with her. But before she could do anything, Leo spoke in a calm, steady voice. "Clara, I already have Sophie," he said. "If you hurt Maya, Sophie will suffer the same fate. If you want your daughter to be safe, put Maya down." Clara froze. She hadn't expected Leo to use her child against her. Her arms slowly went limp, and she sank to the ground in shock. Seeing his chance, Leo exchanged a look with his bodyguard. The man quickly stepped forward, distracting Clara. In that moment of confusion, he pulled Maya from her arms. Clara reached out, trying to grab Maya back, but Leo stepped in front of her. With one push, Lily stumbled backward off the cliff. The drop behind her was deep and dark. The police had just arrived and stood behind Leo as he walked over to the bodyguard, took Maya into his arms, and gently handed her to me. Then he raised his hands and was taken into custody without protest. Clara died instantly. Only later did I learn the truth. Leo had really arranged for someone to take Sophie away. I asked him why he had done it. He said, "Clara's only weakness was Sophie. As long as Sophie was with us, we had leverage. It was the only way to keep Maya safe. No matter what happened between us, Maya was someone I had once truly protected." Before returning abroad, I went to see Leo one last time. "You came," he said softly, his eyes wet with tears. "I've been waiting." "I came to say goodbye," I replied. "Maya and I are leaving the country. We won't be back." "Amelia, you're still angry," Leo said, his voice trembling. "I never loved Clara. I married her because the Vance family had evidence that could destroy the Sterling family. I needed to protect our name. That wedding was just a move in a bigger game. I sent you abroad not just because of Clara, but because the Sterling group was in danger. You were my only weakness. I was afraid they would use you to hurt me. My original plan was to bring you back and marry you after your studies. I was wrong. Please don't take Maya away. I'll do everything I can to shorten my sentence and be a better man. I can't bear the thought of you raising Maya alone in another country. I no longer listened to his excuses. No matter how many reasons or explanations he gave, they all sounded meaningless now. I knew that the moment Clara showed up, he must have hesitated. Still, I said, "Thank you for saving Maya." I was about to end the call when Leo looked at me, his eyes pleading. "Amelia, is there any chance that one day Maya and I could meet again?" I shook my head. "Please, don't disturb our lives anymore. I know Maya wouldn't want that either. Respect our wishes." I ended the call. Leo sat in silence, broken. Just as I was leaving the airport, his parents caught up with us. When they saw Maya, they rushed forward and hugged her tightly. Maya stayed calm, not frightened by the sudden affection. When they finally let go, she quietly walked over to me, took my hand, and said, "Mom, let's go. Maya never wants to come back. I only need you." Tears of joy filled my eyes. I crouched down and whispered, "Maya, you are the best," from Leo's perspective. That day, my assistant told me Amelia was waiting downstairs, but I was in the middle of a delicate business negotiation with Eric Vance and didn't want anyone from his company to see me with her. I knew all too well how ruthless the Vance family could be if they ever discovered that Amelia was my greatest weakness. They would not hesitate to use her as a bargaining chip at the negotiation table. Amelia was waiting at the door the entire time. My assistant said she refused to leave unless she saw me. In desperation, I told the assistant to pass along a message that Clara was in the office. I didn't want Amelia's presence upsetting her, and I needed a way to convince Amelia to agree to the plan of going abroad. I even threatened her. I said that if anything happened to Clara's child because of her, I would never forgive her. In the end, Amelia followed the plan. She left everything behind and went overseas to study. I kept posting photos of the child on Facebook, not just to show off, but to let Amelia see me. Even though I knew she had already given up on me, maybe even hated me, I still hoped she might miss me. I would sneak in a few selfies while posting pictures of the child, thinking that maybe, just maybe, she would look at them. It was pathetic, but it was the only way I could feel even slightly connected to her. My marriage to Clara was never about love. It was a decision made under pressure. The Vance family had obtained damaging information about the Sterling family's business dealings. We received news that they planned to stir up online attacks, aiming to tarnish the family's reputation. At that time, we were seeking a partnership with a Mr. Shia, who cared deeply about public perception. If the Vance family acted during such a critical period, we could lose the opportunity. After weighing all the risks, the only solution was to stage a grand wedding, a strategic move to shift public attention. The couple image that Clara and I had built over the years finally served a purpose. With fans fueling the excitement, we managed to drown out the negative press for a while. I had hoped that once the investment was secured and the Sterling family stabilized, I could go abroad to find Amelia and explain everything. But deep down, I also had selfish reasons. I wanted to use the wedding as an excuse to lure her back, to see if she still cared, to see if she would be jealous. When she finally returned to the country, I planned to pick her up myself. But Clara insisted on coming along, and with no time to argue, I took them both. The moment Amelia looked at me, there was nothing in her eyes, not even the faintest flicker of recognition or warmth. It was like I was a complete stranger. That single look shattered me completely. Later, outside the restroom, I saw a little girl standing there. Something about her felt familiar, a bit too familiar. But it wasn't until she called Amelia Mom that the truth hit me. Amelia had really gotten married. She had a child. I tried to convince myself that she was only pretending, that this was some little girl she had brought along to provoke me. But no matter how I tried to push the thought away, the image of the child's face stayed with me. She looked so much like Amelia. On the eve of the wedding, I stayed late at the office to avoid Clara, but she showed up anyway carrying Sophie, who was burning with a fever. I told her to take the child to a doctor, but she insisted I take them myself. If I didn't, she threatened to let the fever continue. Left with no choice, I went with them to the hospital. I never expected to see Amelia and Maya there. Amelia was carrying Maya, looking pale and unsteady. I offered to help, but she refused and walked away. Still worried, I quickly arranged for Sophie to rest in the lounge and went after them. I followed them into some kind of 4D experience ride. I sat just a row behind. Midway through, Maya became frantic. Amelia had fainted. I rushed forward, carried her out, and found a doctor. That day, by complete accident, I saw Maya's medical records. That was when I realized she might be my daughter. I confronted Amelia, and though she said little, her reaction told me everything. I felt crushed by regret. At the same time, I felt a strange sense of peace. Maybe sending them abroad had truly been the right decision. I returned home and told my parents everything. They were overjoyed to learn they had a granddaughter. As a family, we decided that no matter what happened to the Sterling family's future, I could not go through with the wedding. But I never expected Clara to respond by threatening to end her own life. When Amelia called and said Maya was missing, it felt like the sky had fallen. I sent people out immediately to look for her. I knew Clara couldn't have done this alone. Someone from the Vance family must have helped her. Maya was finally found and returned safely. Before leaving the country, Amelia agreed to see me one last time. I was grateful for that. I know I'm in no position now to offer her a future. Before she left, I asked my parents to hold our daughter in their arms just once. I can only hope that Amelia and Maya can start over in another place, far from all of this, and leave everything behind.